Back on the show, and it's time for Ask Annex. In the studio, Fred Coleman, a CFP and a wealth manager at Annex Wealth Management. Hello, Fred.
Hey, Danny.
Matt Morzy is Director of Research and a CFP. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Danny.
Okay, got a bunch, so let's get right to it. First question on Ask Annex. Amateur investor with $82,000 in my portfolio. I'm setting up a weekly auto deposit to my Roth IRA investment account to max out my IRA contribution annually. What would you suggest I set to automatically invest with this contribution? Would like to consider all options, dividend, DRIP, mutual funds, ETFs, etc.
My first suggestion would be to come here and sit down with Fred. That'd be my first suggestion. After that, what I would look at if you are going to do it by yourself is to generally keep it pretty simple. We're not quite sure in here is the 82,000 in the Roth or is that a overall portfolio, but either way, what I would want to do is start simple and then you could expand and grow along with the portfolio. So what I'm looking to do, and again, it's going to be based on risk tolerance, time horizon to needing the funds, whether you're 20 or 60, you're going to have a little bit different allocation there, but sit down and figure out what your risk tolerance is, your time horizon, and build out what you want your end portfolio to look like. And then I just start building towards that. So again, if you want to keep it simple, you can pick an ETF or two. You can get the right risk tolerance based on molding, a bond ETF and a stock ETF together. If you want to be all stocks, you can break it apart a little bit more from there. But, essentially what I want to do is build out what I want to get to. And then every single time you put money in, make sure you're moving in that direction.
Fred might be too busy. He's Mr. Webinar now. So, you got room, right? So what would you do if somebody like this walks in?
The first thing we want to make sure is that every dollar is being invested. So mutual funds are a good option for that because every dollar is going to get invested. There's you can buy fractional shares. Now with ETFs nowadays, you're also able to buy fractional shares. So make sure if you do invest in ETFs that you can buy those fractional shares and you don't have to, let's say if you're putting in, if you're buying ETF, you don't have to buy even $300 or whatever the cost of the ETF is. So make sure that those dividends that you have are getting reinvested. The IRA maximums aren't that much. So that discipline of putting in every week, that's a great habit to have. But you want to make sure that all those dollars are working for you.
Discipline. That's the key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. Yep. Next up on Ask Annex. I want to open a brokerage account for my kids, and I'm trying to decide if it'd be better to open a custodial account or a regular brokerage in my name so I could pass it to them when they are ready. From what I can tell, there are minimal tax benefits to the custodial account, but I'm forced to transfer it to them when they turn 25.
The big question with this is, who do you want to have control? Do you want to have control, or do you want the kids to have control? Now, you'll have control, not necessarily till 25. For some states it's 18 or 21. And I've worked in situations before where as soon as the kid turns 18, they're calling up on their birthday and they're withdrawing all the money, right? So that's one thing to think about. The other thing to think about is, who do you want to be responsible for the capital gains? How much are you putting into this UTMA account? Because there are gift limits as far as you can gift as much as you want. But we're looking at $18,000 that you can give before it counting against your lifetime exclusion. So that's something to think about. You don't want to start eating away at that, early on. So let's say the account grows to $100,000. You can't gift all that in 1 year if it's in your name. Let's say you keep it in a brokerage account in your name. You try to gift all that, you're losing unnecessary tax benefits. So think about who do you want to have control, and then also the total amount that you want to put in there.
I agree. And, when I look at it, I think in terms of like flexibility as well, too, in terms of where do you really want that money to go and how do you want it to be used? For me and my wife, we save everything for our kids in our names. We want to have flexibility later on to be able to give them money at the right time for specific reasons. Whether it is to help them pay for college, whether it's to help them with a down payment for a house or for a wedding, things like that are stuff that they might need, almost like an emergency. Hey, they're having problems with the car. Great, we've got some cash that we can help you out with. Our parents were very generous towards us at different points in our life. It was really beneficial to us, and it's something that we want to be able to do for them as well, too. But like you said, we don't want it to just be in their name where they could use it once they get to those ages for whatever that reason is. I know what I was like at 18 and 21. And I wouldn't have burned all the way through it, but I would have burned through some of that. And I was really helpful for maybe a little bit later on when we were getting ready to get married, to all of a sudden our parents could be like, hey, we've been saving some money for you guys. Here you go. Hopefully this really helps you out. And that was really awesome for us.
Did you guys ever see that social experiment where they put the little kids in the room with like a marshmallow?
Yeah.
Right? You know this one?
No.
So they put it in and then they leave, right? And they tell them, if you wait, you can have 2 marshmallows, but if otherwise, yeah. So I don't even know.
They
what
get
happened.
1 marshmallow on the table, but tell them if they wait, they'll get 2.
Yeah.
And so it's whether or not they've got the willpower to wait to get that extra marshmallow or not.
So that's what you have to ask about your kids. Will they eat the marshmallow too early?
Yeah,
Mine would eat it right away.
I got 3 kids. I know they're not waiting.
Fred Coleman is a CFP and a wealth manager at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Matt Morzy, Director of Research and a CFP at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thank you.